Are you ready, Vic? Buckle up. We've got a big episode ahead.
Gosh, I know. Best bits part 2.
Can you believe it? We have so many best bits that we've got 2 whole episodes that we need to fill.
Maybe we just do the best bits for, just keep regurgitating all of our podcasts. It'd be quite good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we could just have a whole year of best bits.
Best
just
bits 2020, best bits 2021.
No, because I think my filing system for like 2020 and 2021 was like so bad that we might not be able to find any of that audio. So
what?
We won't be doing that actually.
Oh, what about when we're old and decrepit and we want to listen to what our young voices sounded like?
You can just do that on Spotify. You can go through and just listen to yourself.
Oh, true. Yes. Okay. Good to know. I'll put that reminder in when I'm 65.
Do you know, it's so funny you said that because I actually did think about this. I thought, far out, imagine like going back to listen to, okay, I'm just going to actually have to tell you why I thought this. So today I was listening to Abby Chatfield, who, by the way, she's kind of like an Australian version of Alex Cooper, I would say. Like,
she's quite a hoot.
Some of the shit that she talks about, like, she's funny, but she's also pretty, like, she rubs people up the wrong way. I think she's amazing. But anyway, I was listening to an episode that she used an episode she recorded in 2020 in lockdown when she was really drunk and talking about how to give head properly. And so apparently this has been the most like listened to episode that she's ever done. So she was like, right, I'm going to go through and listen and do a part 2. So she's basically playing back bits of her like how to give the best head and then like commenting in the last 3 years if like she's changed the way she does it.
Oh my God.
It's a great episode. She said that all these people come up to her, like guys included, and like, thanks so much for teaching my girlfriend how to give head. Apparently, like the tips are great. So anyway, I was listening to that.
She's like, I can't remember what I said.
Yeah. She's like, oh my God, I was so drunk. Yeah. But anyway, it got me thinking, imagine listening to our old episodes, how cringed we would be. Like, imagine the first episode, like Introduction to the Curve. We were like, hi, I'm Sophie. This is Vic.
It's funny when people come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I've just learnt of the curve and I've gone back and I've started from the beginning, and I'm like, oh dear God. I'm like, please don't.
You're like, I'm like, do listen, because like I definitely think you need to start from the beginning, but also I'm terrified to think the shit that I talked about.
Maybe we can do a Taylor Swift and like just redo.
That's a good idea.
How she redid an album.
Maybe we redo the intro. Definitely the introduction could do a rejig. I would listen to that and probably not listen to any more episodes if that was that's the first thing I heard. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a bunch of our highlights in terms of what we thought were some of the best guests that we've had on that are well worth going back through and listening again. But also you might want to just listen to this episode, get a few highlights, be like, oh yes, that was a great one-liner.
Take a walk down memory lane.
But before we get into it, I wanted to tell you something that I've done. So I haven't actually really gone into
girl.
I know. I haven't gone into detail about this with Vic because I just thought this is podcast content, So, okay, so recently I was doing a bit of dawdling around Broadway Market, which is kind of a cool part of London. There's lots of little boutique-y shops, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, someone had said you should go and check out the shop called Right. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what's there? And they're like, oh, it's just really cool vintage stuff. You can rent things out. It's kind of like designer wardrobe, but in person. So you can go in and try things on and then rent them.
Cool.
Anyway, went in with the plan of potentially renting something because I knew I couldn't afford to buy a new dress for this event that I had. Classic. I found myself in the purchase section. And I found these really cool black pants that were like semi-high-waisted. Totem? Of course you do, the brand Totem. So they were secondhand black Totem pants. Great purchase. They were £150. However, okay, I tried them on. I was like, these are cool. I like them. These are great. And I was like, hi, just wondering, like, what is your return policy? Because hypothetically, if I want to take these back, I just sort of needed the comfort to know I could. She was like, you actually can't. Sorry. Like, once you walk out, there's like no refund on our sale items because they're on sale. Fair enough. So anyway, I just like had this moment. I was like, do you know what? These are great pants. They fit me well. They're a good fit. They're an everyday, just talked myself into it. bought the pants, left. And an hour later, I was spiraling. I was like, why did I do that? I shouldn't have bought those pants. I can't afford the pants. And I had a full-on spiral. I was actually at the co-working space and I was like, maybe I should just walk back with them right now. Oh my God, but like they don't give refunds. Anyway, I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to try my luck here. Firstly, I checked my bank balance and I realized that like I wasn't going to be able to afford rent unless I returned these pants. Why I do this to myself, I just don't. I don't know how this.
I know.
Anyway. So I was like, right. So just before I'd left, I had met the owner. She just popped in. She happened to be a Kiwi. Brilliant. And I thought, I'm just going to try my luck here. I'm going to send them an email, explain the situation. So buckle up. I'm going to read you the email I sent. So the title of the email is Sophie Horright - embarrassed customer. Hi there. My name's Sophie Horright, fellow Kiwi. I met the owner as I was just in this afternoon. I also just sent this. I also just sent this to their general inquiries page. I basically like searched all of the contact forms on their website to be like, where can I get in touch with people quickly? Apologies for the double up, but I'm feeling quite worried. I literally walked out of the shop 30 minutes ago after purchasing a lovely pair of totem pants. However, I was wondering, is there any chance I could come back in for a refund? I know you don't normally do refunds, but given the purchase was made just now, I was hoping that you could please make an exception. Full disclosure, I didn't realize that I need to pay rent this weekend and I cannot afford these pants.
Oh my God.
It was reckless.
Anyone else would be like, just please let me return them. But
I was like,
yeah. If I got an email like that, I'd be like, oh, I feel sorry for this girl. I have to.
Yeah. So I replied, and then the next bit is, it was reckless and I'm feeling really embarrassed and stressed about it. If there's any chance that you would consider this as a once-off, I would be so grateful. Thank you, Sophie.
So.
Anyway, long story short, she replied, wait for it. So she goes, hi, Sophie. Lovely to meet you earlier. No problem at all. Are you able to drop them back today? We'll process a refund for you, but it might take a couple of days to come through depending on your bank, Meg. And I was just like...
You're like, Meg, I love you.
Oh, what a legend. I was like, capitals. I was like, thank you so much. Honestly, you have no idea how much I appreciate this. And then I like went into full overshare mode and I was like, this might be an overshare, but I've just found out that I have ADHD. One of the behaviors, especially in women, is struggling with impulse buying. This is the first time it's happened since being diagnosed. I'm hoping that by recognizing it, I'm not going to do this again, blah, 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 like spiraled into this huge overshare, like just so standard Sophie. And she was like, hi, no problem at all, blah, blah, blah. She's like, that's so interesting. I've also recently been diagnosed with ADHD. I know so many other women who have been recently finding this out about themselves as well. I didn't realize that like impulse spending was one of those things, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we ended up having this full email exchange about it. And I was just like, whoa, that's so crazy how like what a legend for giving me a refund because she totally didn't need to. But also B, I was like, I don't know, there was some kind of weird comforting element to the idea that she also has ADHD. And like, do you know that time that I'd first found out and we were sitting on the train and that guy interrupted our conversation and was like, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt your conversation, but like I've just overheard what you're talking about and I'm also in the same boat. I don't know, there's some kind of like strength in numbers thing where it feels, I feel like less of a problem child. That there's all these people I look around who I like really love and respect and have done really cool things who also have neurodivergence. So I just thought I would share that and also talk about the fact that like impulse spending is not something I plan on taking into 2024.
Yay. Love that. Learning and improving. It's great.
Yeah.
Amazing that she was such a legend. Yeah, a lot of people could have been like, no, I have to run a business as well, and these are the T's and C's, and blah, blah, blah. You know, like
100%. Can you imagine? I would be like, I can't pay my rent.
No, I can't pay rent. You'd be like, here, Katie, do you want these pants? They're worth like X amount. It's the same amount as rent.
I totally would. Hey, so like I know that there's £150 short of rent this week. But what I was thinking is that I could
these pants are worth that, and so.
I know that you're half a meter shorter than me, but like we could get them taken up.
Oh
God. Anyway, so look, it was a saga, but just wanted to bring that up to see if maybe you had any tips on like impulse spending, because there might also be other people listening, because I've known that it's something that I do. I'm aware of it, but like being aware of it isn't necessarily enough to change habits. So I don't know if like you've ever struggled with impulse spending, or if you probably haven't because you are like a born money guru, but like, I don't know, do you have any like helpful tips?
Personally, I would have taken money out and put it into a separate account already, so I didn't have that money to spend on pants. So I would have gone into the store being like, I have no money to spend because it's gone to rent. Rather than being like, shit, I spent that money that was allocated for one thing on something else and then having a regret.
Okay, so you separate all your money.
That money would have gone into my landlord's account or into a separate account, so it's out of sight, out of mind. So I don't spend it, and then come rent payment day, I'm like, shit, I don't have the money. So all those really, really important essential payments I have to make, I either put them in a separate account or pay them straight away as soon as I get paid. And the rest is leftover money. So then, yeah, if I do impulse buy, it's not eating into something that's I'm going to be really stressed about, like rent, for example.
Okay.
But also the impulse buy, yeah, I've definitely done it. God, don't get me wrong. It's like, God, I'm going through now trying to like sell a whole lot of clothes. I'm like, why did I buy this? I'm like, I've never worn this. Or yeah, I'm just like, what a waste of money, and just like shit that I have. But there's definitely times when I'm literally lying on the couch, like scrolling Instagram, like, oh, that looks cool on the model. And I'm like, Vic, you don't look anything like that model. It's not going to look on that on you. But I'm like, then maybe it will. And then I'll buy it, and then I'll be like, oh God. And so I've kind of taught myself to literally exit that page. And if you're still thinking about it the next day, then you can go buy it. And honestly, I reckon 99 times out of 100, I'm like, forget that I ever wanted it or that I ever saw it.
Okay, so key takeaways are try and exit the shop or Instagram before buying something big if it's not something you've planned on spending, and also try and put your money in different accounts.
You should have left that store and been like, okay, if I'm still dreaming about those totem pants tomorrow, I'll come back and buy them. It's like creating friction, creating a barrier, and therefore will that be something that I actually really, really, really want and can't stop thinking about? Okay, then I maybe consider buying it. But rather than just being like, oh, these look cool, yeah, cool, and then realizing, I don't know, you've probably got a pair exactly the same at home as well. So it's just creating that friction, that barrier, and being like, okay, is this something I actually need?
I like the idea of friction. I think the idea of that's good, because literally as you said that, I was like, yeah, but it was a shop in East London, and can I be asked going from West London to East London? But it's like, that's the point. If you really want them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Just answer my own question. Okay. We'll move on from that, but let's revisit that another time.
Yeah.
Also, just shout out to Rights in London. Thanks for being such a legend. Meg honestly saved the day.
So the best bits.
Yeah, best bits. The best bits.
I watched Love Actually in the weekend. And when he goes to, the British guy, the dorky one, goes to America and meets those 3 gorgeous girls in that bar, and he's like, oh my God, yeah. And then they're like, what do you call this? And he's like, bottle.
Bottle.
Like, bottle. They're like, bottle. And they're like, what about this? And he's like, table. And they're like, yeah, that's just table. Yeah.
What about straw? Straw.
Yeah. So good.
I love that movie. God, it's a classic.
Oh, it's so good. I just love all the storylines. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry, let's get back to it.
It's a ritual. It's a Christmas ritual.
It really is.
Anyway, best bits of 2023 part 2. So we had, firstly, was the amazing Jess Quinn.
Sorry, can you not do that with your inflation? We have just had the
amazing,
so annoying
Jess Quinn.
Oh, we love her. She's so great. She spoke about the cost of her leg, like literally how much her leg cost, which, my God, like over $30,000 on a leg, a prosthetic. So she lost her leg when she was younger to cancer. And holy shit, you just fully take for granted when you have an able body, don't you? I mean, the expenses that she has spent on that is out the gate.
I think what I didn't realize was just around how much healthcare can impact your finances. Do you know what I mean? Like having a healthy, able body can save you so much money or put you in such a different financial situation, which again kind of comes back to just having an open mind when you are talking to people in a different financial situation to you. You have no idea what's going on in their lives. You know, it's.
I also loved the bit when she talked about who pays for the first date. I loved this. There were so many good bits in this interview. She was one of those guests that we had in and we were like, can we be friends? Can we be friends here?
I know you've got lots of friends, but can we be one of them, please?
She's had a baby now, and the baby just looks so cute.
Married baby. Yeah,
she looks so happy. But anyway, this was a really interesting chat, and I think, you know, she's done a lot of interviews in her time around body positivity and how you can have a really strong mindset when you're in hard places and all that kind of thing. But this was a different side of Jess that I don't think you would have seen or heard before. So if you'd like to go back and listen to that episode, what one was it, Vic?
Raising the Curve 62.
And yeah, it became really hard, and I couldn't imagine a world where it wasn't holding me back anymore. And also a huge part of it wasn't also what other people thought. It was that I just wanted to move on with my life, because when my leg's out, even to this day, I get asked probably two times a day, what happened to your leg? Like people thinking like
random people on the street.
Like I'll walk into a cafe and order a coffee and the barista's like thinking he's being friendly, but what have you done to yourself? And I'm like,
oh my God.
All the time. And it kind of looks like I've had knee surgery. Like it kind of looks like a sports bandage. And so I'm like, here we go. And my backwards foot started swelling to a point where I couldn't put on my leg every day for 2 years. And I'd have to smush it in there. And it was horrific, probably up there with the worst I've been through. And I just didn't. I went to every specialist under the sun, tried to get the leg fixed here. Didn't know if it was coming from me or the prosthetic. And then eventually I was living in LA and I found this prosthetist who is a rotation-plasty amputee. So he has my backwards foot surgery and he builds legs. That was just like, I've never met someone who I could relate to on a level like that. And yeah, long story short, I got a leg made there and I was at the point where I would have spent any money in the world to get a leg made. And that cost me $30,000.
I was going to ask, like, how much are we?
Yeah. My goodness, that's a lot of money.
I just got to this place where I was like, cancer has taken so much from me. I can't afford to let it take any more of my happiness. You know, I've lost my leg. I've lost a lot of my childhood. I want to live my best life now and not hold myself back, because I guess I just really understand that I only have one life. And I think I learned that obviously at a really young age. He was quite keen to split quite a lot of the time. Like we'd go out and I'm like, should we, you know, in the initial kind of first month kind of thing. And then I was like, maybe he doesn't really like me. But I was like, that is such a lie that I've been told. Like people don't show their love by like, you know, it works. We're both earning money. Like if we could just split the thing, and it's like, why is it on him?
Now this is a lady who always says her name wrong.
I do, don't I?
I
always say Frances cooks like she's cooking.
Like she's a cook.
She's not cooking.
No, she's not cooking. She's Frances Cook, and she's another lovely, lovely lady who actually is in a similar field to us. She has got a huge following in terms of educating everyone around investing, and she does it in like such a funny and interesting way. I think she was kind of one of the pioneers of the investing education space, which is so epic to see and so epic to have her on a podcast.
The Money Diary.
Quite good friends.
Oh, have we? Are you quite good friends with her?
Well, like, you know, she's one of those that like, what's those camaraderie?
I'm gonna see,
you know, we're in this
she'll
together.
Be like, oh, Vic, who?
Yeah. No, we're trying to achieve the same goal. I think that kind of creates a friendship at a professional level, if that makes sense.
So Vic's mates with Frances Cook.
Yeah.
No, but she's great. And I think the best part of this, which is something we've now shared with so many people, is the idea of a money diary. And we'll play a little snippet of that now. But for anyone that hasn't listened to this episode, Raising the Curve 64, Frances Cook, not Cooks, is brilliant and full of so many great ideas. But we'll play a few snippets now.
Raising the Curve, episode 64.
You know, you get sold this idea of go to university, get a degree, you'll get a really high-paying job, and then everything will be fine and you're going to be rich. And so you graduate uni, you get the first job and you're like, oh, well, it's just the first job, you know, and then I'll get a pay rise. And then you get a pay rise and you hopefully get a couple more. And then you're like, why am I still not getting ahead? Why is life still so hard? Why do I feel like I'm constantly on this hamster wheel and I'm never getting ahead? And I hit probably 26, 27 and was starting to get really frustrated and was like, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm working really hard and I'm never getting ahead. So yeah, a money diary where at least a week, right? If you can do it for longer, you'll figure out even more about yourself, but at least a week, because some people find it confronting to watch their money. So just write down every single thing you spend for that week. And also, it's not just about cutting things, but how much you needed to spend that and also how happy it made you. Because all of this is only about building a life that you enjoy, right? The point of money is not to be good or like the most deprived or the most right. It's about building a life that you enjoy. So how happy it made you is a really important thing. Yeah, and from that, you're going to know, where's your biggest spending areas. You're going to find there's always at least one thing that you didn't need and it actually didn't make you happy either. So that's easy. Biff it. Who cares? But you're going to know your priorities. You're going to know what's adding to your life. You're going to know where your big spending areas are. And then from there, I always think it's attacking those big expenses, things like your rent or your power or whatever. If you can look at those and be like, how can I be smarter about this? Even just shopping around for your power, going to powerswitch.org.nz, and it's not going to be any different on when your lights turn on, as long as you're still paying the bill. It's just, you're going to get the best plan for you and your lifestyle, and any of those sort of regular costs, any of those big costs, those are the ones you want to attack first.
Equity mates. Oh.
So these guys are definitely our mates now, surely.
Okay. No, they actually did send us an email.
Just claiming friends with everyone that we've had on.
I reckon they're our friends. They've sent us an email being like, hey, this was good content. We were like, oh my God, thanks.
Oh my God.
We'll fly to Sydney. Let's hang out.
Yeah.
These are the
They're
first.
like, whoa.
They were the first guys that we had on the podcast. And what a debut for the male species. Yeah. So they're like the number one podcast for investing in money in the States. In the States? In Australia.
Australia.
We're real good mates.
Wow. No, and these were the OG podcasts that I listened to in my finance days. Everyone listened to Equity Mates, and to get them on our podcast was kind of like a moment. But it was really fun. I just love the energy. I don't know. I just feel like we sit there and we just laugh.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah, but I guess the key takeaway from this episode, which is episode 67, was around lifestyle creep. And it's something I spoke about in the last episode we did around what we learnt for the year. But one of my key learnings was lifestyle creep, definitely.
Same.
And it's all around, if you get paid more or your salary increases over time, try not to spend more money, and don't creep in terms of your lifestyle, because that's the best time that you can save money, invest it, and grow your wealth is by maintaining your lifestyle, even if your salary is increasing. So that was a little pearl of wisdom.
Yeah, thanks so much for saying that, because now the snippet that we're about to play is like kind of not worth playing.
Oh, sorry.
She just really wraps things up. But for anyone that wants to listen to them, we're going to play that snippet. And if you want to go and listen to more of their pearls of wisdom, then that is episode 67.
So for me, lifestyle creep, Ren and I talk a lot on the show about the power of getting as much money into the market as early as possible and letting the beauty of compounding do its thing.
Oh, speaking my language. Sorry.
And there are ways that you can get more money in the market, and one of those is to earn more income. But we've seen from experience through friends, and it's a lesson that was kind of drilled into me from my parents as well, is that it's very easy to spend more as you earn more. And for us, the message is very much, if you're getting a pay rise, if you're getting a bonus, there is huge advantage in being able to maintain a lifestyle that is comfortable to you and investing all of that incremental amount as much and as early as possible.
Your mid to late 20s is this perfect time in your life when you're working and you're earning a full-time salary, but you don't have any of the costs that are coming. Most of us don't have a mortgage. Most of us don't have kids. And so you've got this golden window where you can really spend less than you earn and start investing. And we're going to lose that opportunity very quickly. Kids are expensive. Housing is expensive. Life is expensive. And avoiding lifestyle creep when you're young means you can take advantage of that opportunity and get started. Because I imagine, I don't have kids yet, but I imagine it's going to be a lot harder to spend less than I earn once I have kids.
Oh, the best. This is our number one most listened to podcast of the year. So if you haven't listened, in fact, probably if you're listening to this, you've definitely listened, because that's how many people listened to the episode. But if you're a new listener and you have just found our podcast, Sarah Lindsay is the owner of a movement. It's like a modern movement studio with like bar, Pilates, yoga in Auckland. But her upbringing was not easy. She had a really rough time growing up and has just really turned her entire, is in the process of turning around her entire attitude towards success and money and business. Now that she has entered a completely new chapter, living in New Zealand, married with a beautiful daughter and a really successful business, but that mentality that she had towards money and that feeling of lack still threads through her life and not being able to treat herself and buy nice things. And so this was a brilliant, open conversation and one that we've just had so much feedback from. So if you would like to go through and listen, it is episode, is it 69 or 70?
70. And spoiler alert, are we getting her on the podcast again?
Yeah, we're going to do a 2.0.
Yeah.
We just have to. It's so good. And there's so many more. We end up voice messaging a lot, like sending little voice memos. And I'm like, we've got to do a part 2. There's many things we've tried to debunk, like can capitalism and spirituality coexist? Like all these kinds of conversations we've had, we're like, okay, let's do a part 2. So if you want to listen to part 1, do that. But we will just play some little bits now.
But I remember having this realization because I had this like childhood memory that had obviously been a cool memory that we would never eat together. I would eat and she would be in a different room. And so now it's defined the way that I experience tenderness. Me, Josh and Ophelia have to eat at a table. Even with my friends, I do not let anyone sit in separate rooms, on the sofa, anything on your lap, even a snack, we're in the kitchen. And so that is just like a cool memory of never having that as a child. And in my mind, defining family and love and tenderness as being together. And it wasn't until I was on this teacher training and I was deep in reflection that I realized it was because there wasn't enough food and she was just eating my leftovers. And I just had this heart-dropping moment of, oh my God, what an awful experience for my mom. And I just didn't know. I just was not aware. And, and it wasn't my, it wasn't for me to be aware. I was a child. But that realization has helped me with a lot of forgiveness for my mother and what an awful life she's had and very unfair.
The next one is one close to Soph's heart, or her genes, her bones, her blood, all of that. She's actually related to this lady. It's your grandma.
This lady. I'm like, also, is this not close to your heart too? I feel like this should be really close to your heart. It's my grandma, you loved her.
Anything that's close to you, babe, is close to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is all about my granny, who was essentially given like $10,000 when she left her parents in the UK to move to New Zealand to marry my darling grandfather, who I loved very much. And rather than spending that money on things like clothes and silly things, she started an investing club with her friends, which is crazy because this is like 55 years ago. But the money that she invested grew to be worth over $1 million, and it's now still invested. And so when she died a couple of years ago, God, that was a bit of a slip of the tongue. It was quite a while now. She died when I was 18, so that was more than a few years ago. But the money's still invested. We did a whole episode on how that evolved and what we learned from that. We looked at her portfolio that kind of looked at some of the holdings that she'd chosen. And it was a really cool episode to learn, like how she invested, but also the importance and power of investing alongside friends. So, it was definitely a special episode, wasn't it?
And off the back of that, we have a pretty cool, exciting announcement, which again, if you listen to this, you're privy to. We are launching our own investing club. So if you think this is something of interest to you, you want to be a part of it, then head along to our website and you'll see a little banner at the top and you can register your interest for when we launch that, which is hopefully fairly soon. It'll be really exciting and something that we've kind of wanted to do for a while in terms of empowering women by bringing them together to create decisions and make investing decisions themselves and start their own investing club, because it's all well and good educating, but we actually want to help you all implement that and actually start investing. And what better way to do it than with a bunch of friends? So
you can also find the link in our Instagram bio. But we're going to play a few snippets from this episode, and if you want to go back and listen, it was Raising the Curve 74, my grandma's $1 million portfolio. My grandma, She was very amazing. And I feel like it's only really since she died that I've started to learn more about her. And the more that I've learned, the more I've been impressed with the stuff that she did throughout her life. One of the things that she did throughout her life was invest.
So she started with about $12,000 50 years ago, and now it's at $1 million. So if we broke that down, kind of the average return per year, it's just over 9% return per year, which is amazing. Like, to get that as an average, considering all the market corrections and falls that we've had over that time. We've had the global financial crisis. We've had the .com, which was in 2000, which was when all the internet companies blew up. Like, there's been so many blow-ups in the stock market, yet she's still managed to deliver over 9% return.
That's amazing. Yeah. Just firstly, the fact that she was investing at a time we had to look at stocks in the newspaper, right?
And this was a time when there wasn't pretty much like any woman in the finance industry. The first lady on the New York Stock Exchange was 50 years ago. So like, if you think there's very few women now, imagine what it was like 50 years ago.
I really want to.
I imagine like the criticism she would have got when she's like, I'm doing an investing club, I'm investing that money. Like, like I can just imagine not the stigma, but the judgment, or, what do you mean you're investing? That kind of thing would have been so fascinating back then.
I wonder how many people she spoke to about it. I wonder if she was quite open and talked to everyone, or if she kind of kept it.
Or the number of people that were like, oh, you should take it out now. You should take it out now. The market's going to fall. There would have been so many people in her ear, and she would be like, nope, I'm going to keep it in there. I'm going to keep it in there for my grandkids.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Okay, Raising the Curve, episode 82, The Millionaire's Wife. She was one of the more interesting episodes that we've ever done, in the sense that we didn't even know if we wanted to necessarily release this episode. Yeah, it was just the most bizarre way to think about money and life and relationships, but it was also a really brilliant reminder of how important it is to not judge people's different situations, their cultures, their religions, how we have been brought up to think about and relate to money. It's all so different.
And I think what I really liked about this was everything we try to do with this podcast is to, I guess, open up people's echo chambers in terms of what they've been brought up thinking, what they're conditioned to think, what society has made them think. And we're trying to break that open for everyone. And it certainly worked for me. And I think the great thing about this is just talking to people that are so different to you, from their financial decisions to their upbringing, all of that. And so this was definitely one of those. And there was times in there where I was like, I don't really agree with that.
Bite your tongue.
Yeah. But then I'm like, cool. I love that she has a different view on that than me and all of that. So it was, definitely not our norm, but I'm so glad we did it.
We've had so many people listen to this episode too. Like, it was definitely up there with one of the most downloaded, which surprised me hugely. I don't know why, but I just thought, and I think it probably comes back to what you just said about the echo chamber. It's really hard to find people outside of that sometimes who will be really open about these kinds of conversations. So, what better to listen on a podcast? So if you want to go back and listen to that, listen with an open mind and maybe a stress ball in case you get a bit frustrated. But we're going to play some of that interview now.
So in my culture, it's believed the woman's money is her money and the man's money is their money. So how it works is that I get a percentage of my husband's income and I can use that for spending, saving, whatever I want. So it'll be like 1 or 2 days out of the month where I'll just go crazy. He'll do it with me though. He's a big spender too. And that's why I love him.
Nice.
I love Chanel, things like that. That gold coffee, so good. I do think it's on the man to take care of the household, which is a more traditional mindset. At the end of the day, the woman, assuming, will bring the kids and be pregnant, breastfeed, raise the children. And in doing so, you're helping the man advance his career because he doesn't have to worry about staying home and taking care of the children. He can focus on work and, getting promotions and things like that. While you had to put your career on hold, that the bill should definitely be paid by the man. Being a feminist means that you accept any way a woman chooses to live and do with her life. So it goes both ways. It's like, she could be a career woman, a boss, a CEO, but she could also choose to just start a family and be a wife. And that's the power and the freedom of really choosing whatever you want to do.
And then what a way to finish 2023. Oh my goodness, this episode. Wow.
You sound sarcastic, but I know that you're being serious.
No, I'm like, I know I sound sarcastic, but I'm trying to articulate what's going on in my head. But this episode was amazing, and I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah, same. So her name's Allegra Bambi Haines, and she is a trans woman who lives in the UK. And we met her over here, and she spoke about her journey transitioning and the costs involved. Spoiler alert, it's £15,000 to get a vagina. But this was one of those episodes where I thought, oh my goodness, I am so grateful and proud to be doing this podcast, because these are the kinds of conversations I want to be having. This is the kind of, it's to your point of what we talked about with The Millionaire's Wife, to be able to support all women in all shapes and sizes, wherever they came from, however they got there, and celebrating each other's journeys and understanding the struggles and celebrating the wins. And I think that this episode, I just learned so much, and I have so much love in my heart for this woman and what she shared with our community. So if you'd like to listen to the episode, it is Raising the Curve 90, The Cost of Transitioning with Allegra. But we're going to play some of our favorite bits now.
It took me years to even understand or know what a trans person was. And when I say years, I mean like 21. The one thing I would say being trans does is, for me, it has made me the strongest person I've ever met in my entire life. I have worked between leaving uni, moving to London to that point, really hard. I had 2 jobs. I worked in television. I also worked in a bar Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I was working full, like a lot. So going private is absolutely a privilege, but it's a privilege that I worked really hard for. It's a lot. It's an ongoing project. It's like buying a house that you're constantly doing up. And
the renovation that never ends.
The renovation that never ends. And you're sleeping in those dusty bedrooms. You haven't got a bathroom.
And was that kind of like a slow process in terms of building different rooms in the house? Did you go for like the essentials and we get the kitchen in, or like?
I chose the wrong wallpaper in a few rooms. I had to redecorate a couple of times. My lips.
It must have cost a bit.
My lips were huge. My face looked almost painful with the amount of injectables that I had done. There's certain tweaks that I've had done on my face for sure. I had to really go through some stages.
With that, we're going to say bye officially for 2024, aren't we?
2023.
2023, fuck. I'm already in 2024.
Like, wow.
But it's been a year, Vic. I'm really proud of us. And thank you so much to everyone who listened.
Yes. And please send us feedback on guests you loved, what you want to hear next. You know, we really love getting messages from all of you in terms of, things you love about the podcast, things you don't. You know, we can take it. Don't worry.
Yeah. We've got thick skin these days.
Yeah.
If you want us to get new
all
co-hosts,
feedback is welcome.
if it's getting fired, or I'm going to, just feel free to
or
let
like
us
you
know.
like me better than Soph. Totally.
But thank you. Honestly, we wouldn't actually have a business if it wasn't for people that cared about these kinds of conversations and learning and educating and growing our wealth together. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next year.
Look after yourselves. Gosh, you sound like my mother.
We'll
see you in 2024.
Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything that you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking to your friends about your salaries.
And if you liked what you heard, we would love it if you could hit the subscribe button, please.
Yes,
or
please.
Better yet, leave a review. It only
nice
takes 5 seconds, and it would really make our week, our year, our month.
Okay, lots of love. See you soon.
Bye.